Hello YouTube, TrixBrix here, and today will be the last day of train testing on the floor of my Lego room before we move solely onto tabletops with my lovely 6 surface level trains all laid out. And the reason why I need one more day of testing is to try out all of the automation products that I just got on my last haul from TrixBrix, namely loads of train signals and switch motors and all of the gubbins used to control them that will allow me with one IR controller not only to control all of my trains, including my subway, but also the routes they take around my train network, all from the comfort of one standing hole. Oh, sound good? Well, let's see if it works. Well, first of all, a quick update on last time. I did try all 6 locomotives on our record-breaking train at the front, and well, yeah, that didn't work either, even with securing all of the buffers together. I think I might have to go to kind of a hardwired buffer system, but I did get our favourite, the pump wagon, working again with some serious amendments. Well, I say serious, it took a bit of fiddling around, but essentially it's all just one plate higher, so the mechanism is raised above the tracks that it has to cross now on all these complicated TrixBrix intersections and so on. But we've got that absolutely lovely motion on the end. So the world record is even longer now that we've got those two trying to catch up with the caboose at the very back. And they'll be coming into shot at some point. Yeah, there they are. Woo! Yeah, very cool. Now, if you don't watch my brick hauls, then you won't have yet seen my siding pieces here for a train yard that will be in this area of the city. In fact, if you do watch my brick hauls, you probably won't have seen it very well because it's such a long section that it was, well, hard to keep in screen in one go. But that looks absolutely great, coming off the main line and creating 2 parallel tracks for some static cargo scenes, which will relieve the pressure on the ridiculously long cargo train, of course. Another part I've already used, albeit in a temporary position, is some Terminator track, which is just sandwiched in between the single tracks of the old train engine shed and the regular 9-volt track connection. So we've got a really smooth transit into the train shed now. So that is a problem solved. And I got loads of different track pieces that you might want to check out on that video, including some S-curves at the back there. Loads of narrow gauge track, including some dual gauge where we've got the regular track width and the narrow gauge all in one in a switch, and in a crossing here, narrow gauge crossing perpendicular to the regular gauge. Very interesting. We've also got some quarter tracks, more different Terminator tracks for the edge of walls, and even a very interesting tipper track. So at this point, it is worth mentioning that I did get this order on free store credit. Basically, I had to pay for postage, but that was it. But I didn't have any requirement to make any positive comments. My views will remain my own. They didn't even have any influence on the pieces I picked, so I've just gone for the ones that are right for me, for all of the scenes in my city. So you can be sure that my opinions are my own. And talking of my own, I even made some bespoke tiles for a amended destination board. So we've got some destinations you'll recognise there, London, Huddersfield, but I've also added Brick Derby and the Flying Nottsman special train, and rather than saying on time or delayed, it says special for the Flying Nottsman and really for Brick Derby, which I think is great. So I'm probably going to have one of those message boards in every single station. Cool, right, so onto the automation. When designing the new Lego room, it was very important to me that I made serious improvements to the passenger train system. Before, I could only run one train at once, and if I wanted to change, I had to lift the whole thing off just to replace it with another one. So it's very important to me that I had not only all 5 of them out at all times, but that I was able to run all 5 of them in different configurations as well. Now, the first part of that goal has been achieved by having 4 tracks going through my central station dedicated to the passenger network, which allows me to have 4 of my long trains side by side at all times, with the 5th one having its own home in a historical society based in the old train shed, which makes a lot of sense for a Zeppelin train. And that means then I can have one of these 2 running around the right-hand loop on the inside there, and at the same time have one of these 2 running around the left-hand inside loop, which I'm standing in at the moment. But as a third setup, I could isolate the entire inner loop to allow the Zeppelin train to run riot around the whole of the outside. And when he's tucked up back in his shed, I could also have a seasonal train or a second cargo train or, well, something else running on that whole inside loop as well. So it's very flexible indeed. And yeah, everything's out at once. Fantastic. So that's only possible if I go around the room flicking train switches effectively to move from one mode to the other. So this automation should make that whole process a lot easier. So the first area is going to be a setup here with 2 traffic lights to tell these trains whether they can go or not, and a motor which will ping between the 2 options. And the second area will be the same deal over here. 1 traffic light each and a motor to decide which of them is connected with the loop. And the third setup is this one with 1 traffic light for our Zeppelin train to show that the entire inner loop is open, and 2 motors, 1 for each of the big T junctions, which will allow that inner whole loop to be isolated from the normal setup that these guys run on. So quite a lot of change, but hopefully all ending up being controlled by a few buttons easily located in one standing hole. So I need somewhere to start, so let's do this setup here with these 2 lights and this motor for the first loop. Look at all this cool stuff. It's looking good already, if you ask me, apart from all the wires, which will be concealed under the table in due course. But yeah, very exciting indeed. You know, I basically have to plan and order this stuff basically a month in advance. It will have arrived 2 weeks ago, maybe. Then I did a brick haul last week to officially unpack them, and I still can't play with them because, well, I want to do that live on screen with you. So yeah, I have to show a massive restraint to not get it out in advance of the official video. But that time has come, so I'm allowed to be excited. And what have we got? Well, we've got a motor over here on this return switch. And if you think about it, that's where it has to be, because this is where the choice is made of whether it goes left or right to return to where it once was. And over here, we don't need one because both of those 2 tracks are going to join into one regardless of which they started at. So that is all we need for motors. And in order to attach it, we just remove the sort of T-shaped kind of switch that you do manually for this other one with a bit of a mouth on it that the motor can grab onto a lot more easily. And I think that's in tune with the official Lego pieces, so they can use this motor as well. Now, it is a bit of a grey box, a bit ugly. That's what I thought to start with. But I think, you know, with a bit of graffiti, a bird sat on top or something, I reckon it could be disguised as a real life sort of train signal box or something. And as long as we can hide the wire by going maybe directly into the tables, I think it will be all right. But yeah, it's going to need some work, or maybe it could be incorporated into a much bigger build. And then on this end, we've got the 2 train signals, of course, with their double lights on these poles. And that wire will need to be snaked down the back of that very neatly. We won't be able to hide all of that if it's going to reach the light at the top. So when I put this wire fully in for the first time, we hear a little noise out the back. We've got both lights on for a little bit, but then only one. And both of them are in bottom position at the moment, which means I think I need to turn this one around. So it is the light at the top, because I think that's the light for go. Green on the top, red on the bottom. So we've got that one ready to go, that one not ready to go. if we've got the switch in the right place. Yep, it is set for the yellow train to run, so that's cool. And I've got some green and red tiles here to make them the right colours. And then we will just press this and it'll switch. So that is on stop, that is on go, and, well, I heard a noise. Oh yes, it has moved. So now we're live with the white fast passenger train 60051, where it all started on my channel. So, wow, there we go. That is fantastic. Right, I don't want to run this immediately because I want to put on those coloured tiles, but then we'll do the same thing with the trains running. Okay, so green and red tiles on. They aren't as bright as you might hope, but, you know, it is very visible. So that's kind of cool. And I've got the trains on. So let's try the yellow train first. We'll do a couple of laps of that. Proof of concept. Going a bit faster. We'll be here all day. Oh, did it go? Oh, I thought it was going to crash then. That little shimmy is very cool. Yeah, until it pulls away, because the white train's so long. Or at the last second, it really looks like it's going to hit. So we would stop that. Then we would ping that. So now we have moved the switch position and changed the train that is active. It's got the green light and it can make its route around the same loop. Very cool indeed. Yeah, it did work. I didn't actually look to see it moved. I heard it move, but you know, it could have got caught or something. So it seems to be reliable so far. Get that going a bit faster. I think the battery might be low. I think that might be as fast as that one can go. Oh no, the battery is really low. But it has proven the concept, has it not? That we have two trains sharing a loop and we can ping between them easily using the switch. I just love those lights switching like that. So cool. Right, I'm going to turn those off, maybe give the white one a charge and do exactly the same thing over here with another pair of lights and another motor back here. And then we can talk about the outer loop being isolated. Okay, a bit easier this time. Exactly the same setup, but on the other side. And it looks really good. The lights look even brighter actually now, just because I think they're head on from this angle. We were looking quite obliquely before at this pair. Yeah, they look dull because we're looking at them sideways. So yeah, that's really nice. It definitely adds to a cool train scene. So we needed a second controller, and that's what we've got here on the right. And it gets its power from the first one. On the back of these, you've got a USB hole for the original power source. Then it comes out on the right-hand side and comes in on the left-hand side each time. So you can have, well, as many as you can imagine going that way. On the front, there's 6 connections. The first one's for lights, and because I've got 2 each time, I've got a splitter cable, meaning that 2 can be powered, so you can probably do as many as you like of those. Then we've got 2 for train sensors and 1 for a barrier motor, and that's if you're using the box in a different configuration with a sensor to sense when the train's coming and another one to sense when it has finished going through a certain section of area, and then the boom motor will move the boom of a crossing up and down. You can use a splitter there, so you can have one on each side. I'm going to have 5 level crossings, I think, in my city. But with such a complicated network, with, you know, the cargo trains on one line and it all being double width and so on, I don't think I'm going to have automated booms. They wouldn't know whether they're coming or going, basically. You know, the cargo train, well, it fills about 3/4 of the track at any one time, so they'd be permanently down pretty much. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. And then we've got 2 more for what I'm using, which is points motors. So you could have one doing 2 different motors, which is what we'll be doing on the Zeppelin line. But anyway, here we have this with the lime Python on green, and then we press the button and it flips. Oh, I absolutely love that. That'll never get boring, will it? Oh, can't wait to teach Mrs. Hood how to drive all of my trains as well. She'll probably be interested for about 5 minutes and then be just, yeah, that's nice, dear. And we'll move on with her day. but I find it very impressive. So let's watch that switch side move as well. Oh, very cool. Very cool. You have to wait a few seconds before you can do it again. Oh, yeah, lovely. Right. So if we get both of these two trains on, that one's got a great big green button, and this one you have to press the water in the water tender, and then that is on. What are we set up for? We're on green with the Flying Knotsman, so we'll start with that one then. My favourite with its lovely chunty noise. And its single headlight at the front. Should we give it one more lap? I forgot to go ooh for the crossing, for the switch rather. I guess I'm starting to trust it now that it will work. Lovely. So we'll bring that to a close here. Oh, I stopped that a little bit early, didn't I? Bring that a little bit more forward and stop. Then we can flip that and go on to Python. And without moving my position or my other hand from the single controller, I can get the Python going as well. And that one looks like it needs a charge as well, doesn't it? I've been running these trains too much. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, golly. That looks close, doesn't it? When it goes onto that separate switch. I love that shimmy. Oh, golly, that hit the light, didn't it? The Python is probably the sort of, well, longest carriages and the biggest shimmy, and therefore it is it just the last one? Oh, it's the nose of the far end hitting the light, so I'll have to make sure that's slightly away from the track when it's set up in the final city. Cool, we have the second one working as well, so that is very cool indeed. Right, on to isolating the outside loop for our Zeppelin train. Well, LEGO train fans, we have got good news and a couple of bits of bad news. The first bit of bad news is there's just an absolute load of wires now everywhere. I hate them. Even when I've concealed them, I'm very concerned that they'll all be hanging down from the underside of the tables, ready to catch me in a net, literally knot me to the underside when I'm crawling between one standing hole and another. So I'll have to invent some sort of impressive cable tidy system to keep it all in check. Otherwise I'll really get knotted, won't I? The other bad news is I didn't buy enough splitter cables. So temporarily I've disconnected one of this pair of lights, so we'll just have one running for the moment to enable me to use one in the final setup, which I'll explain a little bit more later. But the good news is it's working! We've got one more light over here for the Zeppelin and to represent the full loop being open or closed. And we've got a motor on that T-junction at the end of the wire there, and another one on that piece there, centre of shot. So, yes. Now, we only need one motor for each of these areas, because when we've got the train running from this direction, it has to go towards the left, and if it's running on a complete loop, it has to continue on the left as well. It's only when we get to this area over here that it either has to come back into the station, if we're on the split loop system, or go straight on. So that's why we need a motor over there. So both of those are controlled by this. And there were two ports, one for each. But what I didn't realise, and why I need the additional splitter cable, is that they work in opposite directions. So effectively, when you press the switch to change the controller, it will close one and open the other motor. And I want them both to work in exactly the same direction because they're doing literally the same thing on opposite sides of the room. So that's easily fixed using the system. You just need a splitter cable and attach them both to one. So it comes out, then branches into two to go off to each of the two different directions. But I hadn't appreciated that before when I made my order. So I am learning as I'm going. So yeah, that's easily fixed. I'll just need to get one more splitter cable in another order, which is sad because that means I'll probably have to buy loads more stuff. Anyway, that is a problem that I can handle. So yeah, if I switch this switch now and get the right one, then effectively both of those motors work. with that little noise you may have heard, and open those to open the outer loop, and then we've got our green light showing that the Zeppelin can get its engine going. Fantastic. Now, one downside is that we've still got a green and we'll have a red, or a green and a red on that end showing, when technically, if it was realistic, we'd have all four showing red. Now, we're not going to be able to achieve that using this system, I don't think. You could obviously do it if you had some Arduino sort of fancy computer run system, but I want it really simple with a few push buttons that any visitor to the Lego room can quickly learn, and I don't need sophisticated kit once it's installed to operate, or a degree in train management. So yeah, I'm very happy with this system. You've just got to look for this traffic light to see if the outer loop is ready, and if not, well, refer to these for the four trains in the middle. Fantastic. Right, let's see this in action. All right, so let's test this isolation system now with the two trains running on their individual loops. Looking very good indeed. Yep, no problem there. Now, before I bring out the Zeppelin train, I could try something a bit risky, basically changing it into a single loop with the two trains running at the same time. That might be quite good fun. So I'll wait till they're both on opposite sides of the room, and then when it's safe to do so, I'll press the switch with my foot, and that should mean that we've got, hey, them both running on the full loop now. That is super cool. Right, I'm going to switch it back when they're both past their T-junctions, otherwise one will catch up with the other and it won't work anymore. So we're going back to the original setup, he says, missing the button with my toe. Oh, it worked. Right, we're back on. That was stressful. Right, so I'm going to stop these trains in the station now. There is lime stopped. We'll just wait for the yellow one to catch up. Stop that in station as well. Fantastic. And then we will re-isolate the outer loop. Yep, that's on green. So that means we can move to Zeppelin, get the propeller motor going, and then off it goes. Brilliant. So we can have that going in all of its glory without me having to do anything more than play with a couple of switches, which will be close at hand, and that single remote control for absolutely everything. This is great. Wow, I absolutely love this. This is exactly what I wanted. In a much bigger room like this, swapping a configuration would mean a lot of sort of crawling, basically, to get out of one position to change the switches in another. And some of the switches might be relatively inaccessible because of all of the buildings surrounding them. So, yeah, brilliant. So when I want this to stop, I essentially do that and then just reverse this back into its siding. More bad news it might seem. Looks like I might need another part, being a motor on this official Lego switch, in order to make sure that this is in the right position for the reversing Zeppelin train when we return back to the two separate loop setup. I had thought, with all of the traffic on this bit of track going from right to left, that keeping this in the position it's currently in to allow this to reverse back into the train shed, everything would be fine. But it seems the amount of traffic hitting this spring-loaded piece means that occasionally it doesn't go fully back into position, and then when the Zeppelin tries to go backwards, it then gets a bit confused and might partially go down one track and partially another. So yeah, I think another motor will make that a certainty, and then with it pushed firmly back into position, it'll be able to go back like that, where it should do after the outer loop has been split a second time. So yeah, that is bad in a sense, but good in that we've learnt it now. I mean, that's why I'm doing this testing on the floor while it's easy access. And I don't have to worry about crawling under tables, drilling holes for wires and messing around with all sorts of stuff when it's much harder to reach. So yeah, that's two lessons we've learnt. I need another motor and I need another splitter cable, maybe even two splitter cables now. For yeah, anyway, I'm going to start a new order, I think. Well, I must say I'm very impressed with all of the TrixBrix automation equipment that I've used today. it's been very easy to kind of work out and add in a couple bits of explanation, both on the purchasing side of understanding how the functionality actually works would be of benefit to stop the sort of ordering errors or not buying enough that I have experienced, or also just because, for example, when you put the plugs in, it won't work and then you have to flip it over and then it will work, but sometimes it isn't obvious that that's the problem. So you think, have I plugged everything in? Maybe I should just keep turning everything upside down one by one to see if that makes a difference. Kind of like old-fashioned Christmas lights. But yeah, you can get there ultimately. So I'm pretty happy with everything we've done. I think it would be good fun to try the level crossing motors, but as I said before, it's not going to be something that I can use on all my crossings. Having said that, I think there will be a crossing in this gap because everything will be slightly bigger in the real room. So if I just had one for passenger trains, maybe it'd work. But then again, maybe it wouldn't because we're still going to have two trains running at different speeds and different timings like they are now. No, so I don't think that will work. Anyway, it makes the mind wander in a very interesting way. And I just love all of these lights, adding a lot more detail and giving a visual representation to add to the ones on these boxes, which do have the lights on. And we do have studs as well, so I will be able to attach tiles to each one so they get an explanation as to what they operate, because otherwise it's going to be really easy to confuse them. So yeah, I'm happy. I need those extra parts now, but that is not going to be a problem. I've just got to store it all now, nice and secure, so we can get on with these tables and get the city actually going, which I know some of you are dying for. The train fans have been overindulged recently, and the city fans have been going without. So we will reverse that polarity now, focus on the city for a bit, and we'll install only the trains that we need to as we go. So, yeah, very happy with this. Toot toot! Well, that has been really good train fun, if you ask me. I'm really looking forward to getting this all on the tables and all up and running with these effects in motion, and maybe a few more secrets and surprises, who knows. But as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. Do also check out all of my links if you value this channel and want to support it. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, we'll be having a brick haul on Wednesday on my sister channel, Brick Haul O'Clock. And then next week on this channel, well, I think we'll be putting in those first tables, probably in the corner underneath the Alien Conquest scene. And, well, starting the real move of everything city-based. So, yeah, can't wait for all of that. So, until then, see you! Yeah, this stuff is very clever, but very messy.